that you guys saw right now was actually a dream of a kid 12 years back. A dream of this kid here who actually looks cooler than me at that point of time. So it was basically a dream that this guy saw 12 years back when he just, out of nowhere, just scrolling through the newspaper. I wasn't actually reading it. I was just going through the visuals. And I ended up seeing two cars going really on the second largest peak in the southern part of India, where me and friends of mine, we planned on hiking that whole thing during a red zone, which was like declared as flood. And we were on top of that mountain and me trying to pose to get a good picture of mine. I have around 5 layers of clothes in that. I have probably like 3 pairs of socks, which includes a waterproof one, which is a super thick one, just so that like I don't have any more leeches on my body. And just trying to look cool in between a storm. So that's kind of my work, what exactly I do. I'm Ankit Sharma, and I'm going to take you on a small journey with me in a sneak peek on what exactly man-made machines is. And that's a personal space of mine, which I kind of call it home, where I document these finest athletes. And that followed with the most loved thing, which is the whole rally itself. Now, I have this one, that kid that had the dream. I consider that a dream right now, but at that point of time, that kid didn't exactly know what dream was, other than sleeping in the bed and probably you get some visuals. That was the only definition of dream, but he just had a thought, okay, that seeing those guys so happy and crying, he wanted to pursue that thing to understand what these guys are all about. And that's where like I kind of generated a theory of my own, which says it's called the source, where it all begins and where it all ends. So I denote the source as the mind. So let's say if I have to compare the source, the whole mind, with a motorcycle, consider the brain, which is the source, main source, as the engine. So engine has all the power that we need to get over whatever obstacles we want. And now we have the engine. Now the only thing that requires, other than engine, is like the fuel. And fuel, I consider it to be love, the love that we have for what we do. And that love is probably the most important part of it all, because that keeps you going for n number of kilometers. Compared it with the brain itself. And now let's say we have the engine, we have the fuel itself. Now what is left is, now is the time to learn how to ride a motorcycle. The first thing you actually get onto a motorcycle, you learn is there are gears. And probably the gears are kind of our whole life. It's full of up and downs. Even if it's up or down, you have enormous amount of power to still enjoy the whole ride. So now we have the engine, we have the fuel, we have the whole ups and downs. Now comes the one of the most crucial parts, which is the most ignorant part as well, which is accelerating and braking. So in this whole journey of we pursuing what we want, we somewhere miss out on how important acceleration and braking is. It's the most simplest part, but it's the most complicated one as well, because if you keep on accelerating super fast towards your dreams or on a motorcycle, you're going to jam the engine and it's not going to work as it should exactly. And if you go slow, you're not going to reach your destination fast as well. And we all want to reach a little faster. So that's the kind of the source that I developed with myself, because at that point of time, it wasn't just a dream that I had, okay, that just lasted for 10 more days and I was happy about it. But at that moment, I knew that this is all I wanted to do. And there was no moving around. So fortunately, my brain was mature enough at that age to understand, okay, this is what I want to do. And I ended up doing that. So coming to one of the most important parts, like I'll just give you one sneak peek into one of the most biggest and most grueling rally that is there on this planet. It's called the Dakar. It used to happen in South America, but now it happens in Saudi. So this rally, if I have to give you a basic idea, is like people from across the world come to this one platform just to race motorcycle, cars, trucks. There's one category called the quads and the SSVs. So there are 5 categories where they come. So total, there are like around 3,000 people who are there in center of desert, moving around every day. So this whole race is combined of 14 days. And those 14 days, the athletes get like a day rest in between, which we as photographers and stuff, we don't get because we have to work even then. So that whole 14-day part, we do around 8,000 kilometers. So let's say if you want to start from down south to go to Kashmir, it's going to be 3,500 kilometers. So we go up, down, and up. and a little more kilometers here and there. So that's how much we travel in the span of 14 days. And that's just for the athletes. For us, it's even worse because athletes come after a certain point of time once they finish the race and they can just relax. They have their physios to go, get their massages, get their body repaired and stuff. But we don't. We still sit in the car. We still edit because our job over there is to give the content, whatever like we are making, to the athletes and to the team right then and there, because there are hundreds of family people, their fans, people who love them, just waiting to see what is happening at that moment. And from the desert, giving something out is a kind of a tricky part, but that's one beautiful thing as well. So that was what the athletes mainly face. But for us as creators over there, it's even messed up. It's like kind of a blessing and a curse, because the moment we see each other as people who are working, we just start questioning each other that why are we here? So that's a question that comes to each other's mind every day. And there are certain times when you're just so happy that you would rather be, you would not prefer being anywhere else. So in these 14 days, the most beautiful part of this whole journey is that any kind of emotion a human can feel, let it be anger, sadness, calm, soothing, whatever human can actually experience, you experience that, all those emotions combined in these 14 days. There are days where you feel you're the most blessed person in the world. There are days you just start questioning your whole complete life. And the funniest part comes in where like you have all your friends standing there and you just give a look at each other and you're like, are you going to come here next year? And probably the answer is easy answer. It's like a no always. That everyone's like looking at each other like, no way I'm coming next year. And next year we stand there looking at each other and we're like wondering, yeah, we are here. So it's something we can't exactly leave. And at the same time, it's kind of messed up because it's just so demanding physically and mentally. And this is where I kind of learned on how strong I am physically and mentally. More mentally though. Even though the kid is still miserable, but he's strong. So what happened with me in this rally was I didn't have any experience of these rallies, but I had a dream to go there. And my first ever rally that I got to go was the toughest one. And I was super scared that, am I going to make it? Because this is a place where you can't give any excuses. Like till date, I have not seen anyone giving any excuses that I couldn't do this because of this. So I knew that thing very well. And me going there for the first time, even no one expected me to give an excuse over there. So I was kind of scared. But I don't know, like that kid who had been seeing all this thing for so long, it just came to me automatically. Like no one had to tell me, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this. I was given a set of athletes to handle, and somehow I did it. I still don't know exactly how I did it, but I did it. And being this my first rally, like what's the worst place you can think of having COVID? So I had it in between the desert. So it was even worse because imagine like 2 years you are spending hearing all sorts of newses and stuff. And then suddenly one day you wake up to realize that in between a desert you have COVID. And you never know what is going to happen because you're a little scared because you can't even call your mom and dad because they'll get tensed because it's not a place where even your family members can fly in and just reach there to see you. But I don't know, like the whole source part where the mind comes in as a strong part. I don't know, I was strong enough that I didn't think about it. And I made it and the most important part of the whole rally is that our work schedule goes anywhere around 18 to 21 hours a day. So if like, again, or the conversation between friends is like, if anyone gets a 5-hour sleep, oh, that person is like whole day, we just poke that person. Oh, you got 5 hours sleep. I think you can work extra more. So that's kind of a blessing. But 3 hours is the basic that we get on an everyday basis on the amount of sleep that we get. But we still keep going. We hate it, but we love it at the same time. So one of the most crucial part of this whole journey was that staying true to yourself, which I still believe that I constantly keep reminding myself, because in this era where we have so many people with so much more access, because that kid at that point of time when he saw the newspaper article, he didn't exactly have Google to Google anything, and neither did he had that even the presence of mind that he can ask people on how to go about this, because I wanted to race myself. But I was mature enough to understand that in India, it's impossible. So it still is kind of, but yes. So I had this one thing of staying true to yourself because the moment I finished school, I got into a journalism college. And I was super happy that, okay, this is the time when I'm going to learn. First day we had like few talks, just like I'm doing right now. And I was so happy and motivated. And only to realize that that's all kind of crap. And I ended up seeing that like more and more talks, but I was happy, but I didn't know exactly how to go about my work. Because it was, for me, it was like kind of a book was given to me that, okay, you're doing journalism, but that book was empty. Like I didn't know what to do, what I have to do for the things that I need to do. Like, for example, I had an instance where I had told a few of my people around that I need to document these athletes. And the basic thing that they had told me was like, go try to find the athlete, go sit with them, hear their story, write it off, and put it out. But isn't that the easiest way to do that whole thing? Like you haven't even experienced what that athlete goes. You just hear his story and you write it. That's going to be the very bad way to do the whole thing exactly. So I kind of ended up starting to ride motorcycles and stuff on my own. And that, I got goosebumps right now, sorry. But that was the point where like I got to know on how much of a connection a human can have with a non-living thing. It's not just a human connection, but like these motorcycles made me feel, I wouldn't say like, oh, I felt freedom and all those things, because I think you guys would have heard that a lot. But it was just something that was beautiful. I might not be able to put it out in words right now, but it's something beautiful. It makes me feel 100,000 things. So that kind of made me feel like what these athletes might be feeling doing hundreds and thousands of kilometers across the planet and stuff. And that actually like me watching motorsports so much, I also wanted to ride fast, which was kind of dumb, but I ended up breaking a lot of bones. Oh, that's me, huh? Just to prove that I ride motorcycle, and that's a big one, so tough one to handle as well. That's just one part of my bone, which is my ankle. It's completely shattered. If I probably remove those, it's going to be hanging a bit or here and there. I have 3 bones broken there, and this was like me running in a mountain to shoot something. But that's just like 3 bones. I have 7 other bones that are broken, my wrist, my jaw. Imagine like you have your jaw hole opened up. Yes, I had like few of those, but I don't know why, but that staying true to yourself got to me so badly that I never exactly thought those injuries as something that would put me down. I would just be happy like, oh, I saw that documentary in which an athlete broke like 10 bones and he got back. So that kind of kept me on again and again. But then the pandemic hit. So it kind of took a lot of time off me. A kid who was desperate after school to go and document the whole thing went to a college and was kind of disappointed on what exactly is happening. Then he went on ahead, broke few bones. So the whole process was taking a lot of time from this kid. And he was getting very furious. Like I had a rage in me that there's so much of time that's being taken from me and I need to be there, because like eventually if you keep dreaming about a certain thing every day, you kind of start feeling that you're just making story up in your mind that you don't exactly want to do it, because if you so badly want to do it and your work is good, you would have probably reached there. So that rage is what got me a little collapsed, because let's say where the source I tell the fuel, one thing with the fuel is like it eventually gets over. So that fuel with the love, it kind of comes, it fades with time. But one more easy part is that like it's fuel end of the day. So you can always refill it and keep going. So that was the part where like came to me that like staying true to yourself is what is kind of the most important part, because somewhere with time we start losing interest. We start getting deviated by seeing 100 other people doing something that you would want to do, and you would try to do it in the same way that they are doing. So it's kind of a mess that happens at that point of time. So that's where the whole staying true process came in, that like I was fortunate enough that I did things on my own, and I worked with few other automotive spaces, but the first thing that I was told in a space was like, keep your creativity aside. That kind of was a major bummer for me, because I was 17 when I got into the college, and that was when I went for my first year's internship. And hearing that kind of made me really mad about the whole journey. And I never wanted to be in the whole community at all. And kind of that made me even more furious, but I ended up opening my own company and kind of pursuing everything that I wanted to do. So I'll just show you one more video. You call me the freak of the fall. You feel like a bad boy while I'm King Kong. I'm the new high and you're the same one. And no, I'm hot, don't run. You toxic 3 in the fall. I'm the new album, you're the same song. They say I'm sick and it won't take long till my sickness spreads worldwide. So that's the kid who once saw that a guy holding the trophy and crying. This is what I all dreamt of, like being on the finish line waiting for these athletes. And fortunately, all of these guys are my friends. So if you remember the first shot, that was a shot of a guy being lifted up. So this is how I play with my work. Sorry, and thank you. I hope it made some sense.